Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to the 19th iteration of the Young Scholars Seminar Series. I'm Yunus Emre Institute, your moderator for this evening. I'm a historian and I work here at the Yunus Emre Institute. And that's a very nice segue into what the Yunus Emre Institute is. We were established in 2007 and we have over 60 branches in over 50 countries. We aim to spread the awareness of Turkish culture, heritage, arts, and increase the connection, the bridge between the UK and Turkey. So tonight we have a very interesting talk as part of our Young Scholars series, where we platform young people and young academics to encourage engagement between folks such as yourselves and the academics who are studying their fascinating topics. Tonight we have Ummugulsum Kurukol, and I'm sure, leading off on our fascinating talk, you'll have loads of questions. If you'll save them to the end, we will get to them. And anyone who's tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Please submit your questions in the comments and we will get back to them. And without further ado, let me pass off to Ummugulsum Kurukol to introduce herself and her topic.
Thank you, Maria. Can you hear me? Oh. I'm Ümmügülsüm Kurukol. I'm doing a PhD at SOAS, School of Orientalism and African Studies in Islamic History. I did my MA2 in SOAS in Islamic Studies, and this is my actually MA master thesis. I work about the Andalusian history, and my main topic was like how the travelers motivated themselves to travel actually. Because like for me, to understand the past, we need to see them as a human beings like us. So that's why I want to see the past as a connection as a bridge to ourselves today. So that's why I'm always interested in the history, not as just a past thing, because at first I feel like if I study history, it will be like about the past and it is not helpful to anyone. But if I think that I can build a bridge with past culture, civilization, and tradition today, so we can understand ourselves better. Probably Muslims or any other religious group or any other nations, they have all connection with their past, because like sometimes we do stuff and then we don't know what it is originated from. And sometimes it's coming from the religious itself, or it's coming from the cultural code. So that's why for me the travelogues are really important, because like the travel text itself gives lots of information about different topics, different fields, and different people, all kinds of information, but they also like related to the real human beings. So for a more explanation, I'll go into the details of it. And I also have a theology background. That's why I always interested in Arabic language. That's why I want to connect my Arabic knowledge with the text. And that's why I chose to do a text analysis and discourse analysis methodology. So the research. I think I briefly explain why I am studying this topic, and also the text analysis. It's about the text itself and what is it's behind actually. Because like when I'm studying about the text, the author generally not important, because we are trying to see what the text say to us. It is related to the author, but the author's ideology or its historical concept, his connection is more important. And we can see that through the text, not the biography of the travelers. So the text analysis is a bit tricky, and it's kind of hard, because like you don't have any data. You are just trying to interpret what the writer said to you, and it's all kind of speculations. Actually, there is nothing fact. You can say anything and you can claim anything, but there is the formation, like with the tradition or with the theories, and you can connect them. There is a way, but it's a bit tricky. And in this presentation, I will first give the framework as a motives of travelers, because like, this is my main idea of the research. and then I will give the Ibn Khatib's Travelogue as a sample to see how the traveler conceive or perceive the travel itself. So the next is the first thing I need to explain the meaning of rihle, because the rihle is the main travel concept in the Islamic tradition. The rihle means, it comes from Arabic. It can be mean like travel or travelogue, can be mean both. And the importance of this word, I want to give an example. Like the Andalusian biography writers use the word rahale for the travelers. They visited, they do pilgrimage actually, and they don't use the word rahale for the people. They don't go to the pilgrim. So this is quite important because like there's a religious connotation with the word. That's why the concept always limited, the rihle concept and the travel concept in the Islamic tradition always limited in the like between 8th to 13th century, because it seems like after the formation of this Islam, the golden age of the Islam seems the main concept of the religion and the civilization. And after that, we don't know what happened. Like the travel, if they travel, or if they travel in a sense of or they travel in other motivation, other purposes. That's why I want to say the further, like this travel text from the 14th century, and it is just after the Ibn Battuta, the famous one. So after that, we have the Evliya Çelebi. So Evliya Çelebi is quite famous, but where are we putting him in the Islamic tradition? He's Muslim, he has an identity, he's Turkish, like Ottoman, and Ottoman is the Islamic civilization, but are we connecting them with the classic Islamic tradition or the modern one? Or can we separate them? My question is, if there's a connection, can we connect them with the travel text? So that's why I'm doing this. So the motives of the travelers, I want to use as my base. The Ian Netton is a professor in Exile University, and he's quite good at this topic. So I use his explanation. He said the medieval travelers travel like with following aims: for the Shirin and or its circumambient religious geography, for knowledge, for recognition and or power, for the satisfaction of a basic wanderlust. The Shirin is for the pilgrimage, basically we can say that. And for knowledge is seeking knowledge, and as we know, Talabal Ilm, they went to learn some Islamic knowledge. They travel from Andalus to Mecca, Mosul, or they went to Samarkand. Even like we can see in 19th century, Abdurrashid Ibrahim, he's a Turkish, we can say Turkish or Tatar, and he went to Japan to teach Islam. So can we connect these parts with the rihle tradition or not? So, and we have the recognition and power. These are the diplomatic missions generally, and the basic wanderlust is the personal ventures. So it can be said that for the Evliya Çelebi, but still Evliya Çelebi has some religious connotations in his prologue. So because as famously known that Evliya Çelebi saw a dream, and then he saw the prophet, and then he just gets a permission actually to go to Hajj or travel. So there is a religious connotation. Or maybe it's just observation, just a basic travel. So first, I want to express the religious connection with the travel. So I want to use the famous, or not famous, but the well-known surah from the Quran. It's Surah Quraysh, and Allah said that anyway, I read the English part. At least for the favor of making Quraysh habitually secure in their trading caravan to Yemen in the winter and Syria in the summer. There is an actual word, rihle, the origin of rahale verb, used in the Quran. So it can be a reason for the Muslims to take this seriously because like it is in the Quran. So they are originated from Quran, like the religion originated from the Quran. This is the basic thing. And also there's a following things in the Quran says that see the world, like widen your horizon, know or meet other people, or we create you to meet each other. That kind of like explanation or for the Muslims. So they take this and also they want to meet other people maybe. And also there is the idea that if there is a Muslims living in the another part of the world in the medieval ages, they called as Malaga and Islam, like the world of Islam. It's like all the places are for Muslims and it's like a whole united, but it's not kind of idea like not it's not like the pan-Islamism. You know, during the Abdulhamid's age, they want to connect the people, unite all the Muslims. It is not about that. They just see each other as brother and sisters. So that's why they just went to other places. For example, people from the Syria, they just initiate a travel to go to the Iskandariya to just learn some hadith or kalam, theology, that kind of like Islamic knowledge, because they think it's also our land. It's not kind of national word. It's not Syria. It's the Islamic word. So that's why after this all the framework, I want to show or explain to you my discourse. My discourse is like discourse of motivation, as I call like that. I want to recategorize the travel accounts because I want to see all the accounts in a connection and also like create a different categorization, because for me there's two main topics. Like one is religious oriented and one is personal purposes, like for the travel. So there are different books. We call them as different genres for the medieval or the classic Islamic period. The first one is like Roots and Reigns, Kitab al-Masalik al-Memalik. We see them as talking about where the Muslim dynasties live, who their governors, that kind of like information in the books. They're like the origin of the Rihla books. So there are travelogues as called Rihla. They are the main classic travel accounts. We have Sefaretname, as I call like that. I know it's for the Ottoman terminology, but the diplomatic missions always happen. So, for example, Ibn Fadlan in the 10th century went to a travel and he went for a diplomatic mission and he wrote about the Russian and the Turks. So he didn't like left out to writing about the other nation or describing their culture, tradition, but he went to a diplomatic mission. So how can we connect or balance each other? My point is like these all books, these all different kind of writings have a connection to each other. They have like intertwining with the writing style, content, purposes, or the I don't know, their like introduction or the ending parts are the same. They use the same prayers. They use the same references. And also there are two left, memoirs like Evliya Çelebi's Seyahatname and also wonder books. We call it Acayip books. They are all about the wonder things in the world. For example, I'm studying about al-Khatib from Garanti is a traveler from Granada. He's from the 12th century. He went to a city, according to him. He saw a city and it was full of people with half human, half animal. So he said that you are not seeing them, but you need to believe to me. Why? Because like he used a religious connotation. He said that you are not seeing the God, but you are believing it. If you are a believer, you need to believe that. So if you are not believing it, you are a disbeliever. So it's just his explanations about it. So all the books have a similar concept actually. So that's why I want to recategorize them as a Muslim travel writing. Actually, I get this idea from, I went to a presentation seminar and it was about a British travel writing. And I saw that they use all kind of books like from the past. They are saying like British travel writing. It can be about like medieval ages or Victorian ages, modern ages, and how their civilization is connected, but how ours not. So like not ours, but the Islamic civilization, like because like it's also continued. There's a change and continuity in the meaning, in the discourse. So it's the same for the British travel writing. So it changed. It's not the same because people doesn't perceive the travel at the same level. For example, for the Victorian age, people like went, especially the elites, like women or like men, they went to the India because they have the colonization there. So they went there and then they wrote about how the exotic the India are, or how the food and tea. They also like bring too much things to the UK because you know the interesting thing is the England, the UK before the medieval ages, they are not in the the trade routes from China to Europe or from India to Europe, and then they are at the end of the chain. So they actually never get anything good from the other part of the world. So maybe that's why they are that much interested in the other cultures because they want to learn, they want to discover what they are having because they don't have anything. Maybe, yeah, I don't wanna like I don't know, discourage the British people. It's just about before the medieval ages, like because the trade is important in the connection. There's no other connection, no internet, no anything. They're just having connection with by the trade, and they are seeing the world. Other, with the trade, they trade everything because from China it's coming spices, tea, exotic animals, clothes, paper, everything. So if they are not going to the UK, how can they have different food? Actually, this is my explanation how the British traditional food have like really less things in here now. So it's like an off topic, but now we can go to the Ibn Khatib's Travelogue. So it's Ibn Khatib called al-Lisan because he's a historian and also literature. And his Lisan al-Din means like the language of the religion. I think it's right. Anyway, the book is called Mufaharat Malaga and Salé. I translated Mufahara as an ode or like a praise for the Malaga and Salé. But in the Spanish translation, it's called as the comparison between the cities because it's the reasonable one. But I think the wording is a bit about praising and also like describing the cities, not just comparing it. Yeah. First, I'll mention the Mukaddime, and I want to give some explanation about the author. So, the Ibn Khatib is born in Loja, near Granada, in 1313. Lived under the reign of Nasrids. Nasrids are the last governors' reign of the Andalusian Empire. So they built Alhambra and everything. He was a judge, vizier, historian, literature. He traveled Andalusia and North Africa. He was an intellectual mind. He was a controversial figure because, like, he wrote about everything, and he has a controversial topic with the controversial discussion with his student or companion, and then they thought like he has a not a good believer. He's not a good believer. That's why they exiled him. And at the end of this exile, he got to the Salah and he wrote the Travelogue. So we got a good thing. So the titles are important in the text because, like in the text, they're using words, making their connection to the tradition and their like identity. And the interesting part of this Travelogue, he wrote about not just the buildings or everything. He wrote like a memoir with the topographic, demographic, and cultural features of the city. And the interesting part is like this is an 8-page risale. It's an 8-page monograph, but he somehow managed to write too many things in an 8-page text. because like he just left out all the controversial things. He just wrote, he explained cities and compared them. We will see them in a bit. And the Mukaddime called as prologue in the Arabic literature because like it's the beginning of the book. In the Mukaddime, they generally explain why they are writing their text and who's their patron, like who their supporter, and their purpose, aim, motivation, those kind of things, and also sometimes they justify themselves. And this is the Ibn Hatib's Mukaddime. So here, he said, وَمَنْ ذَلِكَ مَا صَدَرَ عَنِّي مَا صَدَرَ عَنِّي, it's coming from me. It means he told the story. Because in some text, we can see, for example, Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta didn't write his text. He has a companion and he made him to write the text. So we don't know which part he add or he told, or sometimes because like the writer can add parts because he wants to prize the main storyteller. So we don't know which parts are true or which are the facts or not. Or in Ibn Battuta's text, also he used a text from Ibn Jubayr's. He took it and put his book also. But Ibn Hatib said, I wrote it, or I am telling the story to you. Asked to me to write this, but he's not telling that I traveled to Malaga and Salé. Let's think as a modern mind. I traveled to Malaga and Salé and I want to write Travelogue. And I will say that Malaga was an interesting city and I want to visit there, so I went there and I saw this and I see this. But he doesn't say that. He said that it was asked to me to write about it. But we don't know who asked him to write this. So probably he has a supporter, or he wants to try. He tried to explain himself in a tradition. In the Islamic tradition, the writings generally coming in a one way. It's like a method. It's like having a methodology. The first, they are giving who are they, and then they are giving. Like they're not being direct. It's not about them. It's not about the author. It's about the text and its connection to the tradition. So their connection, like his connection to the tradition, he's first is saying that after explaining that he is writing about the cities, he said like God keep me in the right path. So directly making a religious connection. Because he's saying he's using the Isra al-Mustaqim. Isra al-Mustaqim is directly coming from the Surah al-Fatiha. So he's using the main principle of the religion. Because he's trying to say that as the following part, he also mentioned that he's writing this like for the sake of God, because he's doing a good deed, and he's not just writing his observation. He's saying that I am connected to this religion and I am using their methodology and I am writing this reply. So it will be a part of that genre. So for me, I think he's mentioning that as he was saying that it was asked to me. And later he's explaining that I will mention this Malaga and Salé and their features, and he's giving like subcategories. He will mention its productivity, trade, kind of things, and then he's going into details. The first, he will mention about the strength of the city. By the strength, he's saying the like physical strength, like the impregnable city. So he said the Malaga is really to this, the city built on the ancient Roman theater site, and they built a castle on it. So they made like 110 towers on top of it, and they have like bridges between them and all the like fortress, and it is really strong and powerful. But when I look at what he's mentioning about this like strength, I saw that there's the al-Khatib de Malaga, so he was mentioning that part of the city. it is still in Malaga, by the way, and it's a still famous tourist attraction, and they build it for the military security and also to be secured from the sea. Because we will see, let me show where the Malaga and Salé, it will be more reasonable. So I use the Google Maps. Why? Because I want to show you that how hard or how long the travel is in our mind to understand it. So this is Spain, as you know, and Morocco. Malaga is here, just near the coast of the sea. And if there is a problem with the sea, like a sea, like ships, some sea war or something, or something natural, the city can be destroyed. That's why they build the big castle from it, and the Muslim reigns built it in the 11th century. And Ibn Khatib traveled through from Malaga to Salé. Salé is here, and it is also near the sea. Maybe that's the reason he compared the Malaga and Salé. We don't know why he chose those cities, because he visited other cities, but he didn't mention it. Or he's from Granada. He didn't compare the Granada or Malaga. He compared the Granada and Salé. We don't know why. That's why the travel texts are complicated, because we can't never know what's their aim by comparing or by writing them. But we can see what's hidden under the text to understand their motivation and purposes. Yeah, he said Malaga is so glorified, but the Salé is defenseless and fragile, and it's miserable. Even the Crusades come to the city, they just destroy the city and nothing left. So this is the part, the picture is the part of the al-Khatib de Malaga, and this is also, the picture is also the same. And I found some official website if you're interested to see what is the history and what's left now.
If you would like access to those, you're very welcome to email. We'll hand out right now, you can contact us.
And the second part is trade. He said in Malaga, there are silk garments, leather products, ceramics, even they are exported to other cities, copper, kitchen equipment, and all kinds of things. Like the stores are filling with the products. But for sale, he says no one prefer to go to buy anything from there. He's just making a comparison, but he's just glorifying one city and unglorifying the other city. He said even during the Eid festival, and people can't find good things to wear in Salé. So, and also he compared Malaga with a beautiful lady, and he said it is similar to a stunning and luxurious lady, and he's describing the city castle and with the dawn, you know, the wind and also shadows that just hitting to the stones and making a dance, and he's describing this with a lady, and I don't know, he was a bit descriptive about it, but he's not describing anything from Salé, and he's directly saying like it was a miserable city. It's same for the abundance. He said Malaga has distinguished features, like it has good lands, good soil, almond and figs, which are like really important luxuries. They can be grown there, and their harbor and coast is really convenient, beautiful, and the sea is abundant with the fish. They have access to clean water. But the Salé, he directly say it is a city of sun and camels pasture. It's like a yellow scenery with full of camels, and it is nothing to see there. And it has heavy rains, no good access to the water because the water is salty. Their fishes all like has swords. You can't eat them.
Long story short, he does not like Salé.
You'll see later.
Oh, more. Okay.
Yeah. For the fame, he means the prestigious dynasties. He said Malaga governed by the Idrisids, Sanhaja family, they are Zirids, and the Banu Nasr, the Nasrids. They are the old, famous, and prestigious Arabic families. But for the Salah, he didn't even mention a governor or tribe. He just said, where's your glory in you? And no prestigious thing in here. So I don't know why he is like that, but I have an idea that he's Arab. So the Salah, the people and the governor living in the Salah, they are barbarians. So maybe he's being like a bit nationalist, like he's trying to be like bigger than you. Because it's in the same thing in the Ibn Jubair's travel account. He's saying that we are living the most beautiful religious life in here in Andalusia. When I go to the other places, like even the Mecca is the holy city, but he's saying that Andalusia is the best and you are not living the religion in the good way. So there is some kind of ideology that's praising yourself even in the Middle Ages. It's similar, like because it's human being. Everyone wants to praise themselves. So the last part is the welfare. So he has like 5 more like things to describe, but I just made a summary of it because they were all related to cultural history. So he said clothing. He mentioned the clothing, like people having fancy outfits, silk and floral designs, living a prestigious lives. They well earned. There's also like hotels, stores, shops. It's full of like lively life in the city. But the Salah, we will see from the text. He said, Salah is lifeless, closed off, and a divided city. One of third is occupied by empty graveyards. The other part is completely ruined. Finally, the rest is covered with huts and poultry cages, hutches and coops, barns for dairy cattle, and grazing lands. These are all for the animals and their cages. So it seems like all the glory given to the Malaga by the god, and he said that the god glorified the city. But the Salah has nothing. So it's kind of also it's a language. It's also metaphorical because he's comparing it with the life and the death. So Malaga has the like abundant life, but the Salah has nothing. It's like that because he's saying it has graveyards. It's kind of metaphorical usage because he's Lisan al-Din. He knows how to use the language. He's just going on about comparing the cities, and lastly, yeah, he gave some references, and he said Malaga mentioned in different cities, biography writers, historians, they wrote all about Malaga because it's a glorified city. But if you want to learn about something about Salah, and glorification, and unqualified for that kind of pages. He really don't like it. And also he said, as a last thing, he gave all the information. Now he's justifying himself as a finish because he needs to make a good impression after you read 8 pages and then you learn too many things, but you can think that is he objective about the cities, or he just wrote bad things about some of them or glorified the city? But he will say, for my case, God knows, I acted justly when I judged, and I raised an understanding. Furthermore, in most places, I choose to be silent, and I collected the favorite things. Therefore, there is no need to debate the necessity of emphasizing the magnificence and the revulsion of cities. If I desire to collect purely privileged indications, which cannot be refused or be complained, I will not have criticism. However, God does not need it, and this explanation and comparison are enough for ones to learn. Also, the balance between the king and servant. By his compassionate, may God make all information beneficial and mercy upon those who live and die. he also made a relation to religion to make people that if I think it's the same way for with the others, with other travelers. He's trying to say that I am a religious person. I'll tell the truth, and if you are going to believe, you need to believe me. And then lastly, as a tradition, he wrote a prayer, and he said he used the Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, that is sufficient for us. Is that what a beautiful protector? And he just ended the text. So, as a conclusion, I would say, sense of belonging to a certain tradition affected the travelers' ideology and their usage of data. Muslim travelers often refer to religious prayers, metaphors, and praise the patterns of the cities. Despite the hardship of travel, they traveled miles, so the motivations of the travelers are vital to understanding how and why they have been a part of this tradition. Ibn Khatib's travel and comparisons demonstrate his sense of belonging to the Islamic tradition. Additionally, his explanation of topographical and demographical features contribute to comprehend the travel writing tradition on a level other than religiosity as a part of basic wanderlust. Thank you for listening.
Very much, and I will pass on to you guys for your questions soon enough, but I have a few of my own, so I'll ask them first. First of all, it was really interesting, especially I'm personally interested in like nationalism and intellectual history. So to see almost some, I hate to use terms that I don't belong in previous years currently, but some kind of proto-nationalism, if you will, and some kind of ethnic belonging. But I have to ask, are there any other sources on what Salé was like? Isn't that bad?
Actually, I checked the pictures. It's not that good, but you can find some good things because, like, they have a great mosque. So these pictures from Salé. So this is the classic, actually Moroccan style of architecture. You can see the white buildings and also the entrance is like has ornamented. It's not that bad. It's not just a yellow city. I've been to Morocco. There was like the cities are colored in different colors. I don't know. For example, the Morocco, when you go to the Marrakesh, you will see a redness in the city. Or when you went to the Rabat, you will see whiteness. And some cities are blue because I think it's their tradition, and all the things have the shape of rectangle or a square thing. And in this picture, you can see the minaret in the mosque. It's a rectangular thing. It's the African style, actually. We can say that because it's also in other cities. But this is kind of Moroccan tradition. So the Salé is just near the Rabat, so it's white. And I think it's not that bad to see, but I think the travelers was in an exile there. So he doesn't like it.
It'd be the nicest city in the world.
Yeah.
It's still not his own. Yeah, of course. Do we have any questions from the audience? And just as I ask, please let's keep these questions short and sweet. I can interrupt, and I will interrupt.
Thank you, Ummugulsum, for the talk. It was great. I just want to ask, I'm just wondering, based on your own understanding and your examination, how you would describe Malaga in your words? I think everybody heard me. Yeah. How you would describe Malaga in your words? Yes.
I think the writer is. I agree with the writer because the Malaga is really a glorified city. You can see from the picture. These are the modern life pictures. So when you go there, you'll see all the natural beauty in there and also the historical beauty. You can see still the continuity of the Roman structure and also the Muslim structure. They are all combined with each other. And it's really impressive to see that. And also the city is colorful with people, culture, and also with the food and everything. It has greenery, it has orchards. I don't know, it's really beautiful. So that's why the writer is, I agree with the writer.
Are you from Malaga? Is that why you're asking?
No, I'm not. But I wish I would.
Okay. Any more questions? I will come across the room. So if we can just pass to the lady right there. It's just for the all right.
Thank you very much. It was an excellent presentation. Just one question. Why did the writer focus so much on Malaga as opposed to other cities like Granada, which is actually exceptional? Like, why was the focus just on Malaga?
He didn't explain it, but my idea is probably he visits there when he's going to do Salah. You know, he was exiled, and then he was an intellectual people, and he was also a prestigious people. He had a good relation with the government. When he was exiled, probably the government sent him to the Salah with a caravan. He didn't went there with himself. So probably he see the Malaga on his way. That's my deduction, by the way. So when he see the Malaga, maybe the features just look alike. So he wants to compare them. It was my question also, because like he can compare the Granada to Sola, or he can compare the Granada to Malaga, but he didn't do that. And I think also there is the part of nationalism, because the Malaga is his part of the world. It's the Andalusia. He liked that, and he wants to find a good place to compare with the bad place. So the Malaga is a good choice to compare it.
Thank you. Can we come to the lady at the front, please?
Thank you so much for your presentation. This is not really a question; it's more of a comment. So my dad's side is actually from Salé, and which we refer to. It was. I can honestly say it was very interesting to see a historical narrative of Salé, because people don't really talk about it. People don't really know the city. We refer to it as Salah, but you know, Salé works as well. My main comment is that it's so interesting to see, because even today, there's this kind of stigma around Salé as a town. Like even within my family, you know, when we're from different cities, Salé is always the one that is kind of like, oh, we don't really want to go there. And in recent, I mean, I don't know how long for, but Rabat, which is capital in Salé, you might notice that Rabat and Salé are kind of joined. So when someone refers to themselves as you're from Salé, they'll say Rabat Salé, you know. And the last thing I wanted to say was in the last decade, the infrastructure is very, very, very delayed. So only in the last decade that Rabat decided to build a tram from Salé to the city, which was a huge deal for the city. And I do actually agree with him when he said you have to be from there to appreciate it. So that's all I wanted to say, but thank you so much. I've learned more about my heritage, so thank you.
Thank you for coming. That's a brilliant thing to add to the conversation.
Yeah, I just want to mention that it's actually related to my ideology with the research, because, you know, in the past, if the people describe something and it is intermittent with the tradition, it sticks our mind. You know, some places have bad fame, some has good sides, but we know some people as a good, some or like is it even for the people, or some as bad. So it's same for the cities actually. That's why actually I'm studying this, to see what happened in the past for us to understand things differently.
Any other questions? Okay, hello. We have a question at the back.
Thank you for the talk. There's two very short questions. The first one is the writer say anything about why he stayed in Salah? He didn't like it because Morocco at the time was governed by its own dynasty. So if he was exiled by the governors of Andalusia, I'm sure the governors of Morocco would have allowed him to move to, I don't know, like Fes or something like that, a bit more Andalusian. And the second question is there any other examples of Islamic historians having this sort of rivalry between cities? Because there's a long history of like geopolitics between Morocco and Andalusia. At some point, Morocco was a province of Andalusia. At other points, Andalusia was a province of Morocco. And there was always also the Arab and Azir rivalry existed there. So did you come across any other examples of historians who maybe had different opinions? Either Moroccan historians had a different, because so not to go on, but there are, for example, historians who attributed the decline of Andalusia because of the abundance of wealth and favor, like Ibn Khaldun, who says, you know, the Amazigh of Morocco were much more ready to fight and better warriors than the Arabs of Andalusia. Yeah,
I have nothing against it, Morocco.
No.
Yeah, the Morocco. Yeah, I agree with you actually, but I can't remember now. Historian, I'm sorry about that. I just saw his travel writings like as my main texts. So I think the Moroccan travelers, they also like praise their cities. Everyone do that. So the historians, I think the same case because like they want to tell their story in a good way. Even if you wanna tell your story now, you will tell a good story about your people. So this rivalry, it's always going on because it's not about just between Andalus or Morocco. It's all about between people, or like you can say that at the same time, you know, the Andalusia, the Ottomans still in the Anatolia, and they also have something maybe, but we don't know because we don't know the text. That's why I think we need to discover more. When I start this topic, nothing translated into English. That's why they were all Spanish. So I don't know any Spanish. And the Arabic text, they are just praising their nations. And that's why I think we need more studies about that, because I have no idea about what the historians did. And for the first question, I think he was on exile, and he didn't stay there for a long period, but he just went back to country. But he wrote it. I don't understand travelers. Still, I'm working them with like 5 years. They wrote stuff, but they think like sometimes you understand them, that you can find a connection between their ideology, but they never say, I did this because of that reason. They just wrote that I have this patron, I have this supporter, I have this scholar, and I visit this circle, that kind of things, because it's more important for them, especially for the medieval ages. That's why we don't know why they did that. Maybe someday they will discover.
Any last questions? Okay, go ahead.
So,
Can we just wait for the microphone, just to make sure people on stream can hear? Thank you so much.
thank you for the talk. It's very informative. But there's I've got one question I was curious about. So you were talking about the travelogues initially at the beginning and how important they are, like as a historical source. But how common were these travelogues, given the fact that this gentleman was quite an educated scholar, and additionally, like you only mentioned, so there's only a few examples mentioned, but particularly during the mass exodus of Muslims, Moriscos, and Jews forming for Granada, were any such examples travelogues?
Can you clarify the question? I couldn't get it.
So were there any travelogues following the fall of Granada, the exiles?
Yeah, there are some travelers, especially from Morocco, because after the exiles, you know, all the destroying of Andalus, the people, generally the Muslims, went to North Africa, or we can say like Maghreb. So the Andalusian people or the Moroccan people, especially during the like 16th or 17th centuries, they visit Istanbul because like it was the intellectual capital. So they wrote about cities and their tradition, and I think people still writing about Andalusia because there's something left there. Probably there is more, but really we don't know. I think like especially if the writing is in Arabic, and the Moroccan Arabic is a bit different. It's not like the common Arabic, and also if it is in Spanish, it is hard to study them. So I think that's why not many people studying them. There are some studies in Spain, but in the UK we can't come across them because like it's really hard to see like English articles, books, or that kind of things. But I know there are some Arabic travelers, Arab travelers and Arabic travelogues. but we need to recategorize, recatalog them to understand which parts they are belong. It's really, I think it's really missed topic for me. And that's why I don't have the answer for that.
Thank you very much. And with that, I think we're going to bring our talk to a close. Thank you all so much for coming. I think what we can wrap up from this talk is that this is a fascinating topic with a wealth of facts and information to find out about, and we're only really skimming the edge. And so thank you, Ummugulsum, for your fantastic talk and teaching us all about it. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone who also streamed in. And we do have food right at the back, so if you all feel free to have yourself back and have a wonderful evening.